What is the most important thing that all creative people need to do, regardless of what field you're working in? It has to be trying. Just trying to make something. I was listening to a podcast with journalist Molly Jong Fast, which I wasn't expecting to inspire any creative ideas. But at the end, she was asked to give young aspiring writers or journalists advice. And that's basically what she said. The most important thing is trying. Doing the reps. Putting in the time and the effort, regardless of what the end result might be. And this is pretty much what I tell my students. It doesn't matter so much what you're working on. The most important thing is that you're working on something. Just like going to the gym and lifting weights. Well, for most people, the idea is to get stronger and get in shape. The goal is not to lift that specific weight. I mean, the goal isn't to lift the heavy thing because we would prefer it not be on the floor. The goal is us, our strength, our abilities. The more you do a thing, the easier it gets. But also, the more you do a thing, the more you identify as a person who does that thing, which reduces our resistance to doing it. It's a bit of a paradox, though. I'm trying to learn a pattern on the drums, but I know that it doesn't really matter if I learn that specific pattern. The important thing is that I'm trying to learn it. In this journalist case, it's writing about something. And even though the various subjects could be important in their own right, as a writer, it doesn't matter what the subject is. It matters that you're writing about them. But how do we convince ourselves to do the work if we think the subject is inconsequential? We can't. At least I can't. I think that's why I hate the idea of going to a gym. I'm ambivalent about what I'm doing there. The weights can just stay on the ground for all I care. If I'm going to exercise, I have to be able to care in the short term about the thing I'm doing. I have to feel some sort of immediate stakes, whether that's trying to learn a trick on my skateboard or playing a sport or getting from point A to point B. For creative work, like exercise, there has to be a degree of self-deception. Does it really matter in the grand scheme of things if I write another piece of music? No, probably not. I think the world will be just fine without my next composition. But is it important to me? Yes, when I'm composing, I feel like I'm fulfilling my role in the world, like I'm doing what I was put here to do. Yet I know that not every idea I develop is going to turn into something great, and probably nothing I do will ever be thought of as great long after I'm gone. So what? I still want to do it. I still have a sort of metaphysical belief in the act of creativity, that it connects me to the universe. So the self-deception I'm talking about is a kind of weird reverse psychological trick we play on ourselves. We convince ourselves that the thing we're working on is important, but also that the thing doesn't matter at all, and what's really important is that we're trying to do the thing. And ultimately, that we're serving some higher purpose by continuing to do the work. If you're working on something, a painting, a song, a story, whatever it is, and you get to the point where you realize it's not working, that it's just not going to work for some reason, and continuing to work on it just feels stupid. We've all been there. But what do? Do you quit? I mean, do you just give up on being an artist? No, you move on to another idea. When the thing we're working on doesn't pan out, we have to be detached enough to be able to abandon it without feeling like a failure and wanting to quit. Sometimes that's hard, but remembering that the time you spent working on the idea that you just scrapped, that's not wasted time. There is always learning happening. But when it comes to practicing drums, even though I try to approach everything creatively, there are technical exercises that I work on, and often it's something that I just can't do. And sometimes I'll come back to it over weeks and months trying to learn it, but sometimes I just never really get to the point where I feel comfortable with it. To me, that's the most like going to the gym. lifting the weights over and over, and maybe it never feels easy, but we're still growing and improving. We have to want to learn the thing, but we also have to feel the accomplishment of having worked on it, even though we didn't master it. It's the same with creative work. Doing the reps, showing up, putting in the effort is more important than the specific thing we're working on. The more we do it, the better we get, and the better our work will be in the long run. This actually ties in nicely to the episode I did about 4 habits to unlock your creative flow, which you can click on here. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, keep the flow.